The Brothers Four return for another adventure on the streets of New York and meet new allies and adversaries when Johnnie Torch reviews Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Out of the Shadows. Now, as a Turtle fan, I go way back. Most fans of the Turtles were probably like 4 when the craze hit back in the late 80s. I was thankfully a bit older and could appreciate it a bit more. I collected the original cartoons on VHS, and I remember trying to track down the original figures when they first came out. I finally got a Raphael after weeks of searching before supply eventually met the demand. Then the live-action films hit, and the first 2 in particular became favorites. But anyway, way back when, there was always a lot of playground discussion over why couldn't they just adapt the cartoon show? Why not give us Krang, who was a huge part of the show? Why Tokka and Rahzar instead of Bebop and Rocksteady? It's not like men in suits and puppetry wasn't being used in those films already. That's why I was pretty excited to see that they seem to be finally making the Turtles movie I always asked for. And it's good. Real good. But not without a few problems. Shredder returns, and his escape from an armored car is probably my favorite action scene in the film, as the Turtles use their famous battle wagon in their attempt to stop him. Given the first film's lukewarm reception, they don't waste a lot of time harkening back to the previous film. William Fichtner is nowhere to be found, not that he's really needed here, and Shredder is now played by Brian T. It's not spelled out, but apparently the mutagen saved his life in the fall and restored his face and gave him a more youthful appearance. Which is kind of unfortunate since he doesn't wear the mask until the end. In the escape, Shredder is whisked away to Dimension X, where Krang promises to aid his defeat of the Turtles if he helps him build a portal that will allow his Technodrome, which is sort of a mini Death Star, to come to Earth for his conquest. Krang looks really good here, down to the goofy robot body he inhabits. He's voiced by Brad Garrett, who tries to stay within the cartoon version's phraseology, despite his deeper voice. To help, Krang gives Shredder a purple ooze that will mutate people into random animals. Enter Bebop and Rocksteady, and they nearly steal the show. They get their personalities about as close to the cartoon as possible. At the heart of the story, it's about 4 brothers who must learn to get along and fight together as a team. They want to join the outside world who would never understand them. This was part of the theme of Secret of the Ooze, which is my favorite Turtle movie, and they pull it off very well here. A conflict arises between them when Donatello gets a sample of the purple ooze and discovers it has the properties that could transform them into humans. Donnie gets excited by the prospect of this, but Leonardo makes him keep it a secret. Michelangelo overhears this and tells Raphael. Mikey desperately wants to be a part of the outside world, while Raphael wants the credit due to them for being the city's protectors. Leo is the only one who sees taking the ooze as a betrayal of who they are. Splinter tells him he must learn how to be a leader by uniting the team and not dividing them. Eventually, the decision by the Turtles to not take the purple ooze and become human is made as a team, and I was glad to see Raph was the one to smash the ooze vial as the boys collectively made peace with their lives. To the film's credit, they mainly focus on the Turtles above the human characters, but for the most part, the Turtles' human colleagues are well represented. Will Arnett returns as Vern Fenwick in a hilarious role as the hero of the city, taking credit for Shredder's defeat from the first movie so the Turtles can continue in obscurity. It kind of harkens back to the original Turtles cartoon, where Vern was an egotistical jerk. Megan Fox is back as April. She has a pretty cool scene early on going undercover to find out the goings-on of Baxter Stockman. Baxter Stockman, played by Tyler Perry, also does a pretty good job here. His fate is left hanging at the end of the movie, but I was hoping they'd do some kind of after-credits tag of him turning into a fly. Stephen Amell as Casey Jones was, I think, perfect casting. The guy just fits as a live-action cartoon character. I didn't really like his origin here as an aspiring cop, but Casey was always, to me, a failed hockey player turned vigilante. Part of the problem for me was that Casey and April take the fall for the Turtles and get caught by the police, getting stuck in the police station for a good portion of the movie, which basically just gets them out of the way. But I felt that would have been time better spent developing their characters. I felt they could have given Casey a few more witty lines, particularly in the film's second half when he takes on Bebop and Rocksteady. And as some have complained, he could have worn the mask a little more. Probably the element I liked least about the film was the coming out of the shadows that is alluded to in the title, where the Turtles work with the police to take on Krang. Granted, they're not seen by the public at large, but the fact is now they're actually accepted by authority, going so far as to get keys to the city. The Turtles decline to appear publicly, but there's really no need for them not to at this point, and that kind of lessens their role as outsiders to me. In the end, Shredder approaches Krang expecting him to hold up his end of the bargain. As could be expected, Krang double-crosses him, freezing him and storing him in his collection. I was a bit disappointed in this for two reasons. First, Shredder should have had more scenes with Krang, and we should see that Shredder also plans to double-cross Krang. Shredder wants to be the top dog, and having him throw in with Krang without a contingency plan for getting the upper hand of him is out of character. Splinter also gets no real screen time, and I was disappointed that he didn't have a rematch with Shredder. Of course, in this continuity, there's no real personal rivalry between the two, which was the most unforgivable flaw of the previous film. I guess the only other nitpick I have would be the boys not saying Cowabunga. They kinda shy away from that phrase these days, and I don't really know why. But at least April manages to say it, and the Turtles do say Turtle Power, so that's a fair replacement. So for the most part, this film did succeed in being the Turtles film I was waiting for all these years. Still not as good as the original two, but a decent step up from the previous film. Hopefully now that the franchise has found its footing, they might continue to build on this framework in the future. I'm giving Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows 4.5 stars out of 5. This is Johnnie Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.